So what makes a good adventure? Well, one of my favorites from Central America was when I had my introduction to a collectivo. Basically, a collectivo is a group taxi, and they are what you would expect for Central American transportation. Very budget friendly, and you just pile as many people as you possibly can in. So decided I was going to do that, which was going to cost me $3 instead of $40 to take me from the border between Guatemala and Belize to Flores. So I go, and the way it basically works is you've got your driver and your conductor, and these are just normal sized vans that just keep piling people into. And the conductor, he's in charge of collecting your fee and then placing you somewhere. In my case, the van was already fairly full, so he kind of looks at it, looks at me, looks at it, looks at me, looks at it, looks at me, and he says, "All right, I've got it." And so there's the 3 rows of seats, and then on the end of the rows of seats, there's a fold-down seat, and that's where he decides he's going to put me. So this rickety fold-down seat comes down, back goes up, and he puts me down in there. So I'm sitting like this, and I'm packed in there because it's pretty tight. And then he puts the seat down in front of me and tries to fold it up. And it folds up, it just doesn't lock, and it comes back and it just hits my knees, which doesn't bother him, but I'm not too thrilled about. Well, it turns out that doesn't matter. Comfort secondary to price. So he looks at it, looks at me, shrugs. It's my fault for being tall, and all the Guatemalans and all the Belizeans are like 5'1", 5'2". So I'm already taking up the space of 2 of them, which I'm sure they weren't thrilled about. So piles in a couple more people. Next thing I know, there's 24 people in this van, and we're grinding along, and you can just hear the wheels rubbing on the wheel wells anytime there's a bump or the car turns or whatever it is. And this is on Guatemalan roads, so I mean these roads have potholes. There's not really a left and a right lane. It's just kind of don't fall in. So we're going along, people hop in, people hop out. The sliding door can't even close because there's so many people, so the conductor is he's hanging out of the car as we're driving along. And I'm thinking, all right, this is going to be an adventurous 2 hours. So things kind of continue to progress. We're rolling along, we lose some people, we pick some people up, and we end up with fewer people, but the people get progressively larger as we kind of move along. So now we're down to maybe 16 people when we lose a couple more, and then we pick up 3 grandmothers and 3 mothers with their babies. So they hop in and fill it up. And so the conductor, he looks at me, he's looking around, and he's trying to figure out where he's going to put all these people. And he looks at one of the women and decides, you know what? There's a spot right next to me. That spot, it's about that big between myself and the woman next to me. That's more than enough for a person. And if not, well, she'll just sit in my lap, and who knows? So he gestures basically at my lap, and the woman next to me mutters something. The other woman just kind of looks at me, looks at him, looks at me, kind of gets a look, and she's like, all right, whatever. So then she saddles up. So now, keeping in mind that the chair in front of me doesn't even come back and it's resting on my knees, now I've got this probably 18-year-old Belizean mother who is now sitting squarely in my lap on my knee as we drive along. And the whole thing, you know, one of the families is eating chicken in the back. I've got the window cracked and I'm borderline miserable. Plus it's fairly awkward bouncing along on this kind of vibrating road, really washboard road. And we make it about 6 meters, and then her baby just starts screaming and can't be separated from mom. So the bus pulls over, the conductor looks around, they say some things, and then next thing I know, I've swapped out this young mother for a young man of approximately the same age. And he is also not thrilled about the idea of sitting in another man's lap for miles and miles and miles of bouncy road. But it's, again, the collectivo, conductor makes the rules, and what are you going to do? Get out? Not an option. So I am now somewhat culturally immersed, thinking I'm getting a really rich experience that is a good adventure and not something I would do back home in Arizona. When it all gets even more interesting, it was like a bell went off, and keeping in mind that the woman next to me has a child, and most of the other young women in the vehicle have children. We're not in Arizona, of course, we're in Guatemala, where there's a fundamentally different approach to breastfeeding, and so as soon as one of the mothers starts breastfeeding, they all do. And it just means, boop, tube top comes down, breast flops out, baby gets attached. baby has its meal, and then, so this is happening next to me, this is happening straight ahead of me, and this is happening straight and to the left. But of course, I'm the only foreigner on the collectivo, and I don't think collectivos probably make this run that often. So they all want to have a conversation with me. So here I am, slightly uncomfortable because, well, it's natural, well, it's fantastic. It's definitely not something I'm used to, and I just don't know what the protocol is. Like, what conversation do I have with everybody as they want to talk to me? It's, where do you look with a breastfeeding mother who is fully exposed while you have a young man sitting in your lap? And the answer to that was, you look for eyes and stare deeply into the woman's eyes, and keep your fingers crossed that there's not a big pothole. And that was basically how the remaining 45 minutes of that trip went. And so that was my collectivo experience. So if you're ever in Belize or Guatemala, look forward to an adventure and be prepared. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and please check out Virtual Wayfarer for additional information, and definitely subscribe, and I'll have more great updates for you soon.